Okay, it's long enough. I can talk through the intro. I'm back, everyone. How are we doing?
Great.
I was going to say who's going to break the seal on talking over the intro. It's going to be Joe.
Lord.
It's been a while. I miss you guys.
Missed you too, man.
Aw, that's cute.
We got stories.
This is one of them.
I think that's the whole point.
Yeah. Isn't that why we named the podcast?
Right.
I think that's why it happened. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 99 Stories, and this is one. We're your imaginary cookies. We got Joseph back in the house.
What up, everyone? How we doing?
It's been too long.
Aw.
It's been too long.
Yep. Yeah.
Finally not working 16s one after another, fixing people's electric from that storm. So it's nice to be back.
Oh, that's what it was. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. That was like 2 weeks in a row for you. 2 weekends in a row, wasn't it?
Yep. It sucked.
I bet it sucked. It sucked for everybody who had to like go through the other side of that too, but the workers really got hosed on that one.
Good times.
Yeah, but something brighter now.
Yes.
Something brighter. So we're on today, and we have two special guests, and the first one's my dad.
Hello, everyone.
Everybody, that's John Paris.
Happy to join you today.
He sounds great.
You do. You have a radio voice,
You
Dad.
do have a radio voice.
I've been told that. I don't hear it, but
Well,
Yeah.
wait till you hear this playback, because it's going to be gold. It's going to be great. And our second guest today is going to be Mr. Roger Steen from the band The Tubes.
Yeah.
Yay! I don't have applause on my thing. I have laugh tracks. I don't have applause.
He's really one in a million.
Yay! He's a beauty.
It's one in a million.
I just said that.
Sorry.
Jeez, a crime when you don't pay attention.
not to you.
That's all right.
No.
But if you hear that name and you're like, I don't understand, who's The Tubes? That'd be probably the biggest song that most people know from like classic rock radio is She's a Beauty.
Yeah.
But
well, there's also White Punks on Dope.
and that's why Dad's here to
Yes,
fill
it
us
is.
in
Yes,
on
sir.
the good stuff.
Yeah.
Like What Do You Want from Life and
Oh, yeah.
White Punks on Dope. Actually,
I actually saw them in the mid-'70s when they had the X-rated stage show.
that's something I wanted to bring up for sure. So
I just now heard about that, and I'm very, very curious about this aspect.
So when you saw them, what kind of shenanigans went on stage at that time?
The blow-up dolls, the big balloon things that they have like at the car washes with the trying to attract people.
Wacky inflatable
They had-
flailing arm too, man.
They had topless women. They had the leathers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and they had a song called Mondo Bondage,
Yeah.
and the singer Fee Waybill would come out in full gimp outfits.
that's crazy.
And now he still does that, and he's a much older guy now.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw them play in Akron at the Tangier, he still comes out in assless chaps and
does.
ball gag and the. I mean,
Assless
it's.
chaps.
Am I
Oh,
wrong?
yeah. Oh, no, every time.
And he's got to be 70.
Oh, easy.
Something, and yeah.
He'd have to be.
And
Good for him.
Yeah. Wow. And then he does a parody of an old rock star, like his version of a Ziggy Stardust, maybe, called Quaalude.
Okay.
And he'll come out with like high heel.
Oh, it's got to be 12-inch.
Yeah,
jeez.
it almost looks like stilts. He's already a tall guy, and he's propelled so high, but he's got a wig and
he comes out as Quaalude.
Quaalude.
You know,
Oh, the big glasses.
Yeah,
and
and they say
Quay.
Quaalude on the one and the
yes.
other glass.
You know what? Our era missed the Quaalude era, but I only know the Quaalude era from watching like Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay. Oh, it was good. It was good.
Confirmed. It's confirmed.
Yes,
It happened.
I heard a lot of good stories in my Camelot music days about the Quaaludes.
Just watching just from the Wolf of Wall Street and them being on Quaaludes, I was like, I'm really glad that's not around right now because holy crap.
Well, a little moderation on his part would have helped.
True.
He thought they were stale, so he kept eating them.
Yeah.
And then he thought he made it home safely with his car.
Oh, that was the best. That might be one of the best parts of it. He's
Oh.
like, but I made it home without scratching that Lamborghini. And
you
I'm
see
like,
it the next
Did
day.
you really?
Yeah.
He like had to crawl back in music, crawling
When-
into his house.
When he had to make himself roll down them steps, it's so great. I was like, I've never been there.
4
Thank
darts
God.
is too much.
Yeah.
No,
seriously.
Quaaludes were quite popular.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Well, that would have been so. The equivalent would have been like paper acid in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You eat a couple and you're like, I don't think this is working. So you eat a couple more, you go, I'm dead.
Oh, no.
Oh shit! What did I do?
Get off me, dead grandma.
Why are the walls moving?
She keeps crawling up my leg with a knife. Get
All
off
I
me.
want to do is go to bed. It's been all day.
That was
Oy.
like that, I think I did shrooms once, and I saw like the walls breathe, and I saw like things come out of the ceiling and crawl, and go back in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you get the good stuff.
Yeah. Then I had to go to work the next day. And
Oh, that's fun.
yeah. So about midnight, I was like, I need to go to sleep. I was like seeing through my eyelids and stuff.
I could see through my
I can
eyes.
smell colors.
Right.
Yeah. So kids, don't do any of that.
No,
That's terrible.
It's bad.
I mean,
You're not wrong. I don't think today's generation could handle that kind of stuff.
No, it'd be out of control. It'd be way out of control.
Although
Just the way how everything else is out of control now, like that would be.
I've heard from a lot of people who survived the 70s, they say like the pot strains are stronger now.
Oh, 100%.
They're like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
do what we did back then with this stuff. It'd kill you. It'd knock you on your ass. Like the only way you could smoke all day back then is if it was milder. So I have heard that's more intense these days.
That is from older people from back then to that are alive now have told me the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 1,000 Flies can't be wrong on that.
I can verify.
All right, there it is.
man, good thing your dad's here to confirm everything.
Well, and that's
I like
the thing.
this.
That's the thing. It's like we've got an aficionado certainly about like tubes history and all that good stuff, because we got some neat stuff that we're going to ask Roger here when we get him on the phone. Some backstory. So Dad and I and his brothers, we went to see the Tubes. God, we had a real thing going on. After 5-6 years in a row, we went every Halloween to go see them play.
Yep.
Maybe more.
Yeah, because we could never book a Halloween show because it was either your
Anniversary
you
or
were
the
going-
Tubes,
the
or
Tubes.
both.
Yeah,
The one time we
yeah,
actually
yep.
went on my anniversary to
Yep.
see the Tubes, and that was a cool double shot there.
So if you want to get Scott an anniversary gift, that is October 31st, and you can send that to Scott Paris at bluewaffle.com.
Don't ever click that website.
Look for the blue check mark.
Yeah, the bluewafflecheckmark.com.
Blue waffle check.
Jesus Christ.
Gotta know it's authentic.
This is like the 11th episode, and I'm surprised if anybody still listens to this shit. This is where we've gone.
Well,
these days.
Callie still does because she's like,
Oh,
I'm
good.
not clicking the link, and I'm like,
Right. No, don't ever click
Don't
the
ever click that link.
Yeah. Don't trust the links if the cookies send it. So, but yeah, we used to go pretty consistently to watch the Tubes play at Halloween at the Tangiers. And given the fact that these guys had kind of more or less grown up with their music, or at least I know
Oh, yeah.
listened to them since probably your teens or 20s, and then I grew up with it as well, hearing it and getting to know that music. Yeah, the one they would do a meet and greet after the show, pretty much every time. They'd sign your records, bullshit with you. Very, very cool guys.
That's cool.
And the one day I just had the balls to talk to Roger, the guitar player, and say, "Hey, man, so what do you do when you're not touring?" And he said, "Oh, I record at home and I do jingles and commercials or whatever he does, his studio stuff." And I went, "Well, I'm a musician. Would you play on something of mine?" Which is kind of a ballsy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't always get away with that, walking up to somebody and being like, "Hey, you don't know who I am. I
testing
might
the
suck."
waters.
I mean, I guess you can always
Testing
ask, like
Worst he could have said was no.
No, right.
And I was off a pretty big high because I just met Peter DiStefano.
Yeah.
And asked him the same thing, and he said yes. So I felt like I was.
I'm invincible.
Well, I felt like I was on a streak.
Right.
So 2 for 2. Let's see what happens. And his answer to me was, "I can't make any promises. I have to hear the song and see if I think that I could do something with it,"
Which is
But-
respectable.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was a
100%.
fine answer. That was a fine answer. And he gave me his email, and I sent him a track called "Falling Down," which this is cool because we were all part of that song.
Yep.
So I was working on that. Oh, good. I just got a text confirmation that Roger's ready. Yeah. So, actually, this is I got
do
this.
not, don't do.
I got this all ready for you guys. I'm going to play a little bit of the demo for "Falling Down," which you're on, Joseph.
Whoa.
So when I wrote this song, Joe and I used to play it live because I needed to shape it, get it ready to record. One day, I think we were together at my apartment, or God, I can't remember No, I had the house then.
Yeah, you had a house.
whichever.
You lived somewhere.
We set up his electronic
shelter.
We set up his electronic drum kit, and we tracked it the same way we'd been playing it live. And I made a demo with it. And then because I couldn't record drums very well, I couldn't get you to really play on it because we just didn't have a studio.
Right,
we just didn't have a way to do
were
it that I
limited.
could afford.
We were limited.
So I sent our demo to a place in Los Angeles and got a studio guy to play the drums. But he played your part pretty well, and I forgot how well he played it to you until I listened to this. Listen to this. This is the original.
Oh, man. We're
No one's
comparing
ever
drums.
heard this. I've never released this. No one's ever heard this. So this
Whoa.
is a podcast exclusive. This is 10 years ago.
Exclusive.
10 years ago.
I mean, he ain't got the sweet bass lines, but
Yeah, you're not on this yet.
I woke up in the middle of your garden, wearing nothing but my shadow in your pardon, holding on to the moves that you planted long ago.
So obviously no guitar solo. It was
Right.
a keyboard. It was a keyboard before Roger jumped on.
were you doing keys or was that Chris?
No, this was just me.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, that's my old TD10 kit. That is the very first flagship Roland drum kit.
Yeah, this was before you upgraded.
Yeah. I miss that kit.
This doesn't sound bad. And
I can go into details, but we won't because we're listening to this.
And as far as a Scott Paris record would have went in 2013, I would have released this as the song.
Sure.
This isn't bad. Now for posterity, once I got the demo worked up with the studio guys, and Ryan came on and wrote a much better bass line than what I had on that, because that was me on the demo.
That's still good.
It's okay. Like I said, it's for a pass-fail, that would be a pass, or a passing grade.
Right.
And so this is what it turned into.
Would that be a failing pass?
Well, I said pass, and that sounds like swipe left kind of thing. This is the studio version, and that's Roger playing the guitar. And this is the version people know. This is
Yeah.
the album version.
Right.
So pretty close to the demo, though.
Yeah. I said the vocals are really comparable too. Like that's good.
Well, the benefit there would be the demo was done with the same mic.
Okay.
Not the same performance, but
I mean, you're still carrying the notes the same.
Yeah.
Almost. You know. It's
Wow,
the
that
same
guy's
flow.
like right on spot with me.
he did really good.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the service that I used, I don't even know that drummer's name. It was kept from me. And I don't think I've ever said this story, but when I did that record to get those drums and stuff, the company, which I'm not going to drop their name because I'm not trying to promote them. I had to pay for it, so that's mine. That's my information not to share because I had to pay for it. But the service that I used, they do good work, and they can turn their product around in a day or two. So I had the drum tracks back really quick. So some guy went in, listened to the song a couple times, jammed it, and then they gave me the multi-track back. But I told him, I said, I worked this out with my buddy who's a drummer, and I really want it close to his demo. And I thought he did great.
He did good.
Yeah,
I thought he did real great. But I forgot how much of that rhythm, that's you. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get you on the track because we couldn't afford a way to do it and have it sound really great.
No.
But
If it was today, totally.
today would be easier.
Yep.
Today would
Oh,
be,
yeah.
and with sample replacement, like even if your snare or your tom didn't sound great.
In fact, I know a guy that has his own studio that's mobile. He's a mobile unit. So,
Really?
Yeah. So I could call him right now and be like, "Hey, man, you got like 2 hours to like do a tracking," and he could come over here and do it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Technology is amazing now.
And that's another thing we're going to, when I call Roger here in a second, I want to ask him, because he records at home, and the Tubes really haven't put out anything new like that, but you almost wonder if there always isn't the possibility now to do a record. They talked about doing a record. Remember that one time Fee said they were going to make something new? I don't want to corner him and ask him about that, but it could happen. I mean, you can make a record at home and make it sound pretty damn good.
for sure.
It's really,
And
really
it used
easy.
to have to be, even in our lifetimes, in our adult lifetimes, you had to spend thousands in the studio. Ryan, you remember?
And that'd be for one song.
Lava
You and
Room.
me out of a 10
Ryan
song
and I,
album.
Ryan and I dropped $2,000 at a studio called Lava Room. Or was it Lava Room?
Oh,
Lava
yeah.
It was Lava
Yep.
Room.
Oh yeah.
And we probably went over that story on this show before, but
Yes.
we did like a 10-hour package or something just for that one song. And in the end, we hated it.
Hated it
We hated it.
so much.
We didn't even release it. It was so fucking bad. Which
That's a shame.
I had that happen with the second BT record. We had it mastered by a Grammy-winning
And
guy.
I remember the moment too. We were like, "This is awesome." We went into your car, like we had just left. We put it in, and we were like,
Oh no, what happened? It was such a night and day because this guy had these studio speakers that made everything sound great. So he's mixing our song and we're like, yeah, this sounds great. You get to your car where you are very familiar with what music should sound like in your own car because you listen every day. And we hated it. The mix was terrible. The tone, just everything was so different in a car. And it was like, well, this is how everyone's going to hear it. They're not going to hear it through $10,000 speakers.
Right. That's mostly how anyone hears music.
Those
Driving in a
speakers
car.
are so forgiving in a studio
Yep.
that it just ruins the experience. Cal Moore, who used to run Immortal, which is now Little C that the Monets have, but when he would mix, you would do your tracks with the real nice studio monitors, and then he had a button on his desk that he would flip to really shitty
Yeah, because he had
stereo
multiple different
speakers. He had different speakers.
So you could hear.
So when you would do your critical mixing, which is what they call it when you're doing your final mix down, this is going to be your album. This is the last thing you're going to make changes to. He would flip them to these terrible little like Magnavox speakers he ripped out of a boombox. And you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? He'd be like, this is what your audience is going to hear.
Yep.
So you have to, today it would be like, play it through your phone.
Yeah.
Play it in your car. This is what 90% of your fans are going to hear it. You know, they're going to hear it through a laptop. So what's it sound like through there? And do we need to make any EQ changes?
And what's cool, also speaking about like how technology is now, is a lot of times, a lot of like recording programs have a thing where they, when Baker and I were in Seafoam Tsunami and recording up at the Akron Recording Company, he asked us, he's like, hey, do you want this? Are you going to be mostly doing this for like streaming, or are you going to make hard copies? You know,
Sure.
like what?
Because he needed to know an EQ curve.
And then he went through and was like, we're mostly going to probably put this out for streaming. He goes, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, went over, found a little file thing, clicked on that, and then it went, and it changed.
Yeah.
Everything to like, okay, this is what's going to sound like when it's streaming. And we're like, oh, that'll work. Mm-hmm. But that was a really nice studio, but that was hell and high water to get the sound we wanted out of there.
Well,
I mean, we're content with it, but me and him both imagined bigger.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to think too, some of the bigger bands, they have a budget for just better stuff.
Yeah.
Better equipment, better processors.
I just don't think we were getting the idea or...
You think you didn't capture the take, like the performances, or?
Oh, okay. So what we were trying to do was take a surf rock band, but put modern essence into it. So instead of like saturating everything in reverb like you normally would with a surf rock album, we wanted the drums to be more like in your face and thunderous.
Yeah.
Like, woo! And they are to a certain extent, but they are still highly, highly saturated in reverb and it back in the mix or so where and it was the same with his bass. We wanted to break the traditions of normal surf rock.
Right.
And that's
Carve a new pathway.
Yeah. And the thing was with Baker and I, we were incorporating different modern, like there's a part in there, we almost come up with, it almost sounds like Primus would have like done surf, like he's over there slapping, which you don't hear slap in surf and stuff.
Sure.
And that was kind of the key to that band, was like we were doing stuff that was not like we were
Not traditional.
Not traditional.
No Dick Dale in the house
Way
there.
left field
Yeah.
and everything, but we were still carrying those tradition things where people were like, I really like where this is going. Like we had something.
Well, that's good though. You were making a name for yourself. Well, because you got to think. You mentioned Primus or somebody like that. They were making a sound that nobody else was.
Right.
And a lot of people were like, I don't get this. Well, this doesn't sound like anybody I know. And it's like, that's the point.
That's what attracted me to it.
We are the group that does this thing, and that's the only thing that's going to keep you original.
Yeah, I saw them open at Nautica for Rush. My dad took me, and everyone, Les came out there with these little shorts and this basketball shirt type of thing, and he had this big ginormous like hat, but it had a huge bill on it that was
Sounds
bent up.
right.
And he was like, "Hey there, Cleveland!" and all the Rush fans sat down. It was Nautica, so they were like on the cement, sitting down, like, "What the fuck is?"
They were
this?
ready
Like,
not to.
Yeah,
like
where's
it.
Neil Peart? You know, and I stood up, was like, "Holy crap! The bass player is the lead guy, and the drummer is almost as good as Neil Peart." Like, because Neil Peart and John Bonham were like the two guys, and of course Buddy Rich were like my idols at that time. So, until I met Tim Herb Alexander, and I was like, "That's the guy."
Yeah.
But yeah, they blew me away.
We had a similar story. He was going to see Rush, and Primus was the opener. It was the tour after. You might have saw him like Roll the Bones. I saw him on Counterparts.
Okay, yeah.
So between Seas of Cheese and Pork Soda, we're talking a year difference.
Yeah, difference.
And I was like, hey, I want to hitch a ride. I want to go see Primus. And he was like, well, yeah, but Rush though. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Rush. And I had the reverse to where when Primus came out, I already knew them. And I was like, yes. And then Rush came out, and I'm like, in reverse, I'm arms folded, like, okay, wow me. And they did. Absolutely. By the time they went into Tom Sawyer, I'm like, this fucking band is amazing.
Oh, there was a lot of songs. There was a lot of songs I knew at that point or whatever. Because like same thing, like how you were saying, like your dad got you into the Tubes and stuff. Like same thing. My parents every Sunday was cleaning house day, so they would put on a record. So I just
it's all kinds of different.
I fell in love with like what they were listening to and stuff. But yeah, I remember that concert specifically. At the end, my dad's like, "Hey, let's go get you a T-shirt." And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I want that one with the flies on it." It was a Primus shirt, and he was like, "No, we're not getting a Primus shirt." And I was like, "Well, I don't want a Rush shirt."
Only old people listen to Rush.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not true anymore.
As being old, I do listen to
well,
Rush.
now that I'm old, I love Rush now.
Well,
so
what it was is we listened to it when we were young,
And then-
they continued to play. So
right.
we went
And
back
that
and
being
saw 'em.
said, Ryan and I both just went and saw Primus last year or the year before.
Okay.
So you stick with it. Yeah.
So did your girl say, "Oh, who's they?"
Oh yeah. No, I took Rowan and she was like, it was okay. And I'm like, just okay? We had front row tickets. And I'm like, what?
Was she Meg White?
Yeah, right.
You know, life goes full circle.
I know. I felt it too. Because I said the same. You want to go to the merch booth? No, not really. I'm like, okay. You want to listen to him on the way home? No. You ever going to listen to him? Probably not. I'm like, son of a bitch.
That's like I took James.
Did you have a nice time? Yes, I had a nice time.
I took Jameson to go see Reverend Horton Heat. You
Yeah.
know, and that's one of Ray's favorite bands.
Yeah.
And we're like, "What'd you think?" He's like, No, I was like, "You littles."
I raised you better than that.
Like we got a picture with the Reverend and like Jimbo, and like Jameson's just like got his hands in his hoodie like a Unabomber, you know.
Maybe it'll mean more to them.
I thought I was going to
later.
see 6ix9ine.
Right.
All right, well, let's get this phone call going. We're
Yeah.
calling Mr. Roger Steen from the band The Tubes, and away we go.
Step right up. Meet Roger Steen.
It'll cost you $1 first.
Number is disconnected.
Oh, no.
Hello?
Hi, Roger.
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, it's Scott Paris calling. You are on with 99 Stories, and this is one by the Imaginary Cookies. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a nice day, and been out walking around, and now I'm back, ready to watch the Warriors
Nice.
on TV. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good. It's all good.
Very nice. So weather's nice, and you're in San Fran, or?
I'm down closer to San Jose.
Okay.
I'm along the bay, so.
Well, that just sounds beautiful anytime.
Yeah.
We're up in northern Ohio, not too far from where you guys used to play the Tangiers, like Akron area is where we're based out of.
Okay.
So it's been 80 degrees and sunny one day, and then literally snowing the next day. So
Yeah, we've been going through it too, so.
this has been a very
It's been a weird year, yeah.
it is. Well, so the other voices you're hearing today, we've got Joseph Middleton,
Hello, sir.
we got Mr. Ryan Baker,
Hello, good sir.
and we got my dad with us, John Paris.
How you doing, Roger?
Hey.
So he's our long-term Tubes aficionado, and what got me into it as a young fella. And
Oh, really?
Oh, and the reason that we went year after year after year after year to Akron to watch you guys play. Anytime you were around here, we'd go watch you play, and that is because of this guy and his brothers would always come out to watch you guys play. In fact, your brother Jeff, my uncle, had a van that was airbrushed that said "Fantastic Delusion."
Uh-oh.
And I
He has a picture with most of you by it. After one of your Tangier shows.
You know, we never played that song except for the last tour we did. We did the outside inside album, and we had to learn it and do it. And actually, it's not a bad song when you listen to it. But
I think it's a great song. Well, that's a good question. On when you do a special thing like that where you're going to play an album front to back, how long does it take you to kind of get back into the mindset of where you might have been? Like as far as like relearning a song, does it come easy? Like, oh, I remember what I did on this, or does it really like mess with you?
It takes a little preparation because it's you going back and you're digging up songs that you never play. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
we play a lot of the the early stuff, and we play a lot of Completion Backwards, and of course we play She's a Beauty and stuff like that. But there's a couple other we play on there, but the obscure album cuts we never played.
Yeah.
And we have to dig in hard and go, what was that?
Now,
So
and that probably gets weird too, because some of that stuff had some pretty radical samples, I want to say, or like some of the keyboard tricks, or like.
well, yeah, I mean, most of our sampling was done on the last A&M record, the Love Bomb album.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of samples on that, and that was just not like in the way the rap people do it, where they take somebody else's song and sing over it. But we just put in little, like a little riff or something, or somebody talking.
Right.
We used the Fairlight computer, which this was like what 85, so that was kind of a new thing, and the east side of that record went straight through with one tempo. Everything was tied to that tempo, and then we, with that computer, we were able to manipulate the samples and stuff like that, which is just so commonplace nowadays. It's everybody does it, right?
Well,
Almost.
I was going to say that's, and then what an art it was then, because you guys were using brand new technology, and we've kind of, I know what that feels like to kind of be a kid in a candy store and go, oh, there's this new piece of equipment, and what kind of weird shit can we do with this? And instantly you want to like push it to all its parameters. You don't even want to read the manual. Just let's just fuck with this thing.
I dabble that way too, but I also dabble the opposite way. Like when I bought that Moog, that micro Moog that I have.
Yeah.
And then like, remember us figuring that out? I was like, oh man, like if we go to record on this, we have to do all the recording this take, because if I turn this off and turn it on tomorrow, it's going to sound completely different.
Right, like analog
and that
stuff,
made me
right?
think,
Yeah.
and that made me think about like your generation there, Roger, is like, man, how did those guys go from city to city, relying on this and having it be different every time? That'd be frustrating.
Well, you remember? Does anybody remember the emulator?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you had like a floppy disk, right?
Yeah.
You'd save stuff on your floppy disk.
Okay,
But it
like
was-
settings or sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was.
So kind of unlike, not like a Mellotron where you've got the loop on a tape or something. You've got.
No, it's on that disc and like put it in. But then it's always.
Could you imagine the data on a floppy disk is like not even a megabyte? I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
you,
so crazy.
you have more memory in your ringtone on your phone than you would have had back then.
Well, Roger, I remember the first time I saw you was mid '70s, and you had a whole rack of toys that you were playing through.
Yeah, we used to make our own pedal boards, and
It was impressive.
and it had like a multi line cable coming off it to do switching, and it was pretty involved. Our sound guy at the time was like really into that. And I even had a switch on my pedal board where I could call a cocktail.
No way.
Well, that's perfect.
I need that switch on my drum set.
That's amazing.
I didn't see that on his
Put that right by my hi-hat pedal.
That's
It's
called
like,
applied
the
science.
drink order.
Was that an extra option?
Well, we built it ourselves, so it wasn't my idea, but I went with it.
Oh yeah. Implore that.
You should put that back out on, like, you should sell, like, do a signature pedal with
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Oh,
with
man,
the cocktail
these
order
things-
by.
These things were huge. I'm sure you could route that MIDI cue wherever you wanted to nowadays.
So that's a good point, and
buy that
we always talk gear and things like that on this program. This is all music related show that we do. So if you had to tour with all that back then, what's your modern go-to rig like now? I mean, is it all a lot of digital recall stuff? I know that you
I-
have axe effects and stuff. Is that what you use live? Or
The only thing I use now is a Kemper.
okay, so
Yeah,
all
I have a Kemper, a 3-space power rack, and I have the pedal board that goes with it, and I
Sure.
bring a expression pedal, and my carry on is the Kemper, and I put the foot pedal in my on the flights. I put the foot pedal in my suitcase.
Nice.
And then when we get to where we're going, I'll switch it over to the little pocket in the road case, and I put the expression pedal in my guitar case, and I'm good to go. And then
So you never
when
have
we
to explain to TSA what all these gadgets are.
Well, what I was wondering.
so far they're aware. They're when I first started doing it, they'd look at it and they go,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to have to unscrew this.
Yeah.
and pull
What
it
is
out
this?
on-
Yeah.
Yeah, but they never have actually done it, and now I think they've seen enough of them where they don't, they know what
yeah,
it is.
That's good.
See, with me, I'd be so worried about putting it in my suitcase because Murphy's Law follows me hard. So I know that like I would have a gig somewhere and I'm relying on my pedal board to be in my suitcase,
And then it gets
they're like,
misplaced.
hey, guess what? Your suitcase is in Alaska. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm in Cuba right now, so that's the problem.
Let's say like I used to be in a group that used to go to prisons and play music for prisoners, and man, it's worse than that. Like you
Oh,
have
for
to look at-
security
Yeah, you
purposes.
have to open everything. Everything
Oh,
has
yeah,
to be open.
yeah,
You
yeah,
got to
yeah.
show them every nook and cranny of your system.
Yikes.
I'd be okay with that. I think I feel a little bit safer playing those shows like that.
Right.
Yeah. So when you use that unit, do you have all your presets then? Do you
Yeah.
you kind of know what's going to be on the set list for the night, and you're like, oh well, if we're doing this song, I have to have this setting. And
Yes, I have the set written into the computer and the thing. So when I have it and I have it in sequence. I mean, I don't really need to do this, but I do it because I have all these sounds in the box, but I only use one sound. I use it like a super lead Marshall, an
Nice.
old Marshall, and I adjust it to different amounts of gain. And there's 5 presets, and I just switch between those, but I don't really use any other, because I think when you're switching in other amps and stuff in a box like this, you can't, until you're in a big place where all the lows will come out and
right.
and all the different frequencies might be produced by a different amp. It's just easier to have it, a kind of a foolproof. Well, this is one amp, and I'm just adjusting the gains on it, and I'm adding, whatever effects, the delay or the boost or the EQ or something that I have programmed in to change the sound, to bring it out or bring it back. But it's not a different.
It's not a different amp.
Now,
Yeah.
that's the way I do it. It's certainly, you can do that however you want to do it, but I just found that there's some things when you switch in different amps, you don't know exactly. There's going to be, once that sound guy's got it EQ'd, it could be all messed up for the next amp, right? So
Well,
I
and
try to
there's-
keep it simple.
There's probably a volume fluctuation too. Then, like if you're going between a
yeah.
Marshall and like a Silverface Fender, you're going to lose volume or you're going to lose oomph.
Yeah, there'll be EQ difference,
Big
and that's
time. Big time.
that'll be the sound guy will hear that for sure. So
Well,
yeah, I that's how I operate. So
Yeah. And it should be mentioned too that these days you are the primary, like the only guitar player. So
Yeah.
you carry all that as far as, the real estate in the sound that is guitar driven. And for a rock band, that's a pretty extensive bit of real estate for the guitarist.
Well, this has really solved a lot of problems, and of course we have, we're provided in our rider. When we go to a show, I still have whatever the size of the venue is, but usually I'll have like 2 4x12s and 2 Marshall tops too.
Nice.
I use
Yes.
I use the amp in this thing and go into one cab. And if it's a really big stage, I'll take a monitor out and go into the back of the second amp and I just use one Marshall amp, but I don't use anything but the power side of it. I go into the return of the effects loop and just kind of have a clean amp, and that's fine. But nobody in the house hears what's coming off the stage.
I was going to say, that's more
I
your
got
monitor.
2 XLRs coming out of the back, which goes to the front of house. So, and that's the inherent sound of my patch, is because it's got the cab IRs and the amp EQ and the amp itself. So
yeah, so your tone is in your travel gear.
Yes.
Like you have your like pretty much all your tone, and you're just using a clean palette for the amp.
Yeah, and then there's use a little thumb drive to save it, so you have it, and that goes in my backpack. And if I ever have a problem, there's so many campers now that maybe the sound people will have one, and I'll just load my patches into it, and should be good to go. But I've never had a problem. And I'm sorry I started talking about it, because now
I was going to say, no, we're not. We're knocking on wood. I did a show once where I was opening for it was a rap group. Do you remember PM Dawn, guys?
Oh yeah.
So
It does sound familiar.
they only had one hit, and like you kind of mentioned, they were a group that took some old song and then put their stuff over top. So it wasn't like super original, but they traveled with a PlayStation handheld video game. And that's what had their music tracks on.
Right.
And back then it was because TSA would give them so much shit about hard drives and laptops and whatever. No one had ever questioned their video game. And there was a storage compartment on there, like literally internal storage.
Yeah.
And they had
I know
their
exactly what they're
backing
doing.
tracks
Yep.
saved as MP3s.
That's
that's what
wild.
they
That's
would
a genius
play.
move.
It is, but it's so weird. I mean, what an interesting workaround for.
When it was years back at Afro Man was playing here in Canton, and I was like, oh, I'll go see Afro Man, and he had everything on his an old iPod.
I'd done that.
And the one part that I thought was weird is he never turned the clicker off on it.
Oh, no.
So as he was going, like he'd get done with a song, he'd be going through finding like the next track he wants to play, and you'd hear.
He didn't even save a playlist. Or
Yeah,
nothing?
no, it was very. It was a little. I don't want to say unprofessional,
no,
but
that's
it was a
phoned
little.
in.
It was
That's
a little.
phoned in.
It was a little.
Roger, what's your thoughts on backing tracks? I know the Tubes don't use them, and I don't know if Roger Steen Band uses them, but
The Roger Steen Band hasn't been playing for a while,
Okay.
but we didn't use them.
I figured.
The Tubes, in fact, when we did that Love Bomb album, we toured with Todd Rundgren and Tubes in Utopia.
Yeah.
And we actually used a tape backing there.
Right.
Because the B side was it was 25 minutes or whatever of straight ahead, a sequence running through the whole thing. And so we actually ran a two track tape to play along with that. And it had little sounds in it. But it was almost, some of the stuff is kind of impossible to do.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to say the Tubes never did it, but we run we run a sequence for Beauty.
Okay.
That's the original. When we play Beauty,
Oh, the
that's
sequencer
the original.
in the beginning?
That's right off the record.
No kidding.
I mean, you can kind of make that sound nowadays. It's not that big of a deal, but that is the original sound. So,
Right.
and we kind of try to adhere to that, because that's one people want to hear, and we try to be authentic with it. So even though it's a file, right?
Right. Now, is that because it was done on an analog sequencer that it would be hard to get back to that sound?
Well,
Like how we were talking, like the
Kinda,
old
kind of.
Moogs,
I
when
mean,
you turn them
you're-
back on, your settings are lost because it was analog, and if you bump a
yeah,
dial, you're done.
there's more to that too. I mean, when you if you put it in Logic and put the file in Logic and then put a tempo map on it,
Right.
I mean, it fluctuates between 109 to 112, and there's it just Michael did it, he performed it,
Yeah.
and so it wasn't on a grid or anything. It it fluctuates. And so there's kind of a swing in there that I think if you mapped it to a grid, it wouldn't quite feel quite the same, right?
Yeah. No, that makes
Because
sense.
it has this sort of
it has to
of
breathe.
movement to it.
Yeah. No, I get that
So
big time.
Yeah, so I've actually mapped it before, to a grid, and it's solid, but I don't think it's better,
Sure.
So,
Well, no, because I know somebody who does a Pink Floyd tribute, and they said the same thing. They said if you try to remake some of those patches and you make them perfectly quantized, you kind of kill it. You kind of murder.
In a way, yeah.
You murder
Yeah.
the breathing of it. Not to
Yeah.
be a pun there with the word breathe, but you know what I mean? It almost has to be
Organic.
really organic. That's the way to say it.
Yep.
You can't be computer perfect with it. It has to just be a performance. Kind of like when the Beatles would mix a record by moving faders in real time. Like it was a performance even in the mix down. You
did that too. Everybody pushing their fader up to the top.
Yeah, trying to outdo the other one.
Right. And then the engineer going, okay, everybody out.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, really. No, it's still the same. And even now
It
with
sure is.
presets and stuff, everybody's going in and tweaking no, mine should be hotter.
So Roger, you mentioned about how everyone loves "She's a Beauty." Is there a song that you guys don't really care to play, but you do because it's like a crowd favorite or so? And also the opposite of that, is there a song that you guys like to play that isn't a crowd favorite? That you guys are like, screw the crowd, this one's for us for right now.
Guilty pleasure.
Well, some of the punk stuff we do, it's kind of, the crowd loves it. I don't. Prairie likes to play the punk stuff, and I'm kind of like okay with it, but that's not my favorite stuff to play.
So he was a punk before you were a punk.
Probably. Probably. But yeah, I mean, I like some of the like. Don't want to wait anymore. I get to stretch out at the end of that and play through some changes and try to be kind of fusiony and I like that stuff. So
that's great.
More guitar solos. I don't know. That's not the way of the future, but us guitar players love it.
Yeah, you got my vote.
Yeah.
How was it working with Todd Rundgren? I know he produced a couple albums, didn't he?
Yeah, a couple albums. He's very efficient. He always seemed to know what was going to happen next, and he gets it done. And we probably let him get away with too much stuff, because we were Todd fans too, and took his word on everything pretty much, and let him mold us into what we made. But I think the remote control record still, those songs sound really exciting live. That just we're all like on our tiptoes trying to hit those notes, and they're really driving, and that's, I really like that record a lot.
Yeah.
Love Bomb, there's good aspects to it. It kind of got forgotten about by the record label and didn't get promoted, but there's an okay stuff on there too. But about Todd, it just seemed like he really got stuff done, and you weren't like sitting around going, well, what are we going to do now?
Right.
He knew what was had to be done. So that's a really a good example of how he is,
So he did want to work and not just bang on the drum all day.
That's,
Is that bad? That's bad. I'm sorry. That's bad.
well, maybe
I just
maybe
made everyone
he's like
cringe,
that
Roger.
too.
I made everyone cringe with that.
Maybe he's like that too, but when my experience with him was he liked to get it done.
No, that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So, if this is a hypothetical question, I once heard John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers say that if he could play in any other band, he would have enjoyed playing in Nine Inch Nails, which was like, oh wow, I know, I heard that, and I was like, I never saw that coming.
No, not at all.
So if you wouldn't have to give up the tubes to do this, but in a hypothetical situation, is there any other group that we would know of that you'd be like, man, I would so love to play in a group like that, or that same group? completely hypothetically. Maybe
Oh.
something people wouldn't expect.
Geez, I
I know
don't
it's
know.
tough, right?
It's tough. I don't know what to say. It's
No, that's okay.
I mean, I like a lot of stuff I'm hearing. You guys ever heard of Snarky Puppy
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and Jacob Collier? Those, I mean, there's some amazing music happening. I mean, those guys are well beyond me, but I'd like to. I'm not sure what band I'd want to be in, but somebody that's moving in that direction is keeps it interesting. A guy, I've been in this thing for a long time, and it's like it's hard for me to be interested in, like, see a band or watch the Grammys or something.
Right.
I just lose interest. I don't get it, and I don't know who they are, and so that's where I'm at. But then I look at YouTube videos of bands like that, Snarky Puppy and Jake. I don't know if you've ever seen Jacob Collier videos, but they're just amazing.
Yeah, I
So
have.
to be around people like that would be kind of like my dream.
No, that's awesome. Well,
Push
yeah,
myself forward.
you mentioned fusion and stuff. When you go to play certain songs and what's more fun and guitar forward stuff. So, and I know some of the influence, and maybe this is something you guys all vote on, or I don't know if it comes from fear. Like when you guys do covers, I think last time we saw the Tubes in Akron, I want to say you did some James Brown.
Ooh.
You did. I saw Her Standing There by the Beatles.
Yeah.
I want to say you
Yeah.
did Frank Sinatra. Did you do This Town?
We may have.
Because I think Fee had a whole trench coat thing. I think it was part of an ensemble of a.
He wants.
It was like
he wants to
noir.
do
It was like a
another one,
noir
too.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to do another one too. So I don't know. We may fight that, but he wants to do another Frank Sinatra song. We're already doing the one cover we're doing now is Trouble by Elvis Presley.
Okay.
The movie when he's like down in New Orleans and he's like a waiter, and then the guy tells him to get up on stage and sing, and he does this song called Trouble. It's a pretty good song. I mean, it's Fee doing his
Doing his
act.
Elvis.
Doing his act.
Can he?
So,
Maybe if he
people
does,
like that.
if he does the Elvis in the Mondo Bondage outfit.
Never know.
Oh,
So
you might be onto something.
Well, this is something that we talked about just a little bit before we called you, right when we started the episode today. Is kind of how, what's the word, avant-garde, or tell me a little bit about early day Tubes, like some of the shenanigans that you guys did on stage, because it was pretty. Some of it was what, risque.
It's X-rated.
My dad says straight up X-rated.
Well, that's the way they advertised it on the radio. That's why I went. I got to see these guys. And then once I saw it, I was like, oh, my God.
Well, I mean, we
great.
did the girls. We had the girls, and they put black electrical tape on their nipples, and and people seem to like that.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't.
I was all for
But
it.
yeah, we were just sort of a little hippie band living in a house, and we'd make our own props and stuff. We'd build whatever we needed, and make styrofoam saxophones or
All the backdrops.
whatever that would be the bit, right? And it just kind of developed from there, and then once we got our choreographer and the dancers and stuff, it just kind of took over.
It really it had a theater troupe vibe to it,
That's
and you
like
can
a-
still see a lot of this stuff on YouTube. And you guys have
Oh, it was
concert,
a major
concert-
production. It was great.
That's such a lost art to see like bands like come together to work on like their you
Well,
know what I mean? Like
they
we always-
lived
we-
it.
We
They-
get together
yeah.
for once a week or whatever for practice, or whatever, but we never
Yeah.
really focus on like the show and stuff like that.
So,
That's cool as hell.
An honest, I mean, this is a genuine question for me. Is do you think it was because you guys were young and excited and creative, and counterpart with that is was there a budget to do it, or would you like eating crackers, sleeping on couches, going, I don't care, I'm making art, and that's what I want to do?
Well, that's what we were doing. Yeah, we were all living. We moved up here to San Francisco, and Prairie was going to art school, so we had the whole art school vibe, and we were all felt we were pretty arty coming out of Arizona. We'd do concerts out in the desert with a generator, and people would bring
That's awesome.
fruit, and we'd call it a fruit festival, and just kind of hippie stuff like that.
Sure.
And then we were living on food stamps for a while.
Sure.
And when we did gigs, that was what we had.
Right.
We were
Gig money?
that's how we survived, and so we had to come up with something to get hired to be entertaining, and we kind of it just sort of morphed into moving into a show sort of a thing to attract people and make us something different and more interesting, than just
Absolutely.
standing there jamming away,
No, that's exactly it. Well, and I think, like you said, that was the appeal. And
It was brilliant.
Now the big picture, I don't know, whether we should have been more concentrating on being better musicians or what, I don't know, but we definitely made a mark, and we can go around the U.S. and Europe, Western Europe, and be known. People know who we are. So we definitely made a mark.
no, I think you did just fine.
Yes, it did. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, I think you guys did just fine. And it was a nice balance too, because even when you look at you guys' entire catalog, there's some radically wild stuff on there, and then there's some really polished pop music. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Hopefully that's not a bad term in your book, but
It wasn't really us, because we weren't polished pop guys, but
sure.
but we did that too. So and we're still having fun, still thinking we got something to offer. So we're gonna play. We're gonna do some shows in England this year.
Awesome.
Opening for the Hollywood Vampires.
Oh, is that Johnny Depp and them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess that band is they want to perform 70s hits by people that have died.
Okay.
So that's what
That's a pretty broad
if you don't know what
genre right there.
Hollywood Vampires means, that's what it is. So it's kind of cool,
No, that's very cool.
I wish Jeff Beck wouldn't have died, because he
Right.
might have showed up at one of these gigs. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, so we're going to do 5 or 6 shows with them, in some pretty big shows in England, and then we got a couple more in Germany, and then we got some shows. We play in a 80s show in Texas, and we're opening for Cheap Trick down south, and
Nice.
Oingo Boingo. We got a couple shows with Oingo
Danny
Boingo.
Elfman. Hell yeah. Dude.
No, Elfman's not in it anymore.
Oh,
thought
okay.
he
Well,
was.
there's still a great band though. But
We played with them last year, and they were really good. They get people dancing because they got that little jumpy beat. It's pretty cool.
you guys were recently, am I wrong? Were you recently on a stint of a B-52s tour?
Yeah, we did a bunch of shows with B-52s.
How was that?
One in Seattle, and two. We did 3 shows down in San Francisco. It was cool. They were really cool, and
Yeah, that's a fun band, too.
People love them.
Yeah.
My
They're
daughters
pretty
love
much I think this was going to be their last run. But
Yeah, that's how I read it.
The girls sang really good, and the lead singer, he just kind of goes, so he pulls off what he does, and the band, they had some ringers.
It was a rock star.
He's a rock lobster.
Yeah. He has like
Yeah.
a perfect frontman like gig there.
Yeah, yeah. And the girls were great. So I mean, and they had a couple ringers. And, they had actually the whole band was ringers from Nashville, I think. So they were good. It was a really fun show, actually.
No, that sounds great. I remember seeing an ad for that and thinking, well, that's a fucking pair, isn't it?
I would like
that'd
to
be a
seen
really
that.
fun show.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
I like the B-52s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
All right. Well, here's another hypothetical. If collectively amongst the group, is there any band out there right now that if they called you and said, "Hey, would you go on the road with us?" you guys wouldn't even have to think about it; it'd be hands down yes.
Well, Foo Fighters, of course.
Yeah. I figured.
Yeah.
I figured.
Dave
Well,
Grohl is so cool.
Is he? I know that Fee's friends with him, and I know that he guested on the Wasting Light record. He did backups on the one tune, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I wasn't sure.
We played a show with him, and he was very, very nice. And he came to see us and then after that, he came to see us at the Canyon Club down south around LA, and he was cool. I mean, he's a really nice guy. So yeah, that would be a fun one. I'm looking forward to playing with Cheap Trick. I love those guys.
Yeah.
They play relentlessly. I think they're out with Rod Stewart or something.
That'd be another odd pair. That's interesting.
I didn't know
Yeah.
Rod was still doing it.
Was to say, talk about some other like guitar forward great rock Cheap Trick would be. But yeah, I mean, some of the guitars, just some of the shapes of the guitars that guy's got. Just some of the triple neck, crazy.
Right.
My God.
He plays that like for about 3 seconds.
Well, yeah, because
Too heavy.
your neck would break.
That's
I mean,
that's what I always thought too. When he had that 5 neck thing,
That's what I'm talking
It was
about.
like the one neck was down by his knees. I was like, how's he even playing any of that?
it's for
And like,
show.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
got to be for show. I mean, because
Of course it is.
But
you
I
know.
remember when acrylic guitars were a real big thing,
Uh-huh.
and they weighed like a metric ton, and I was like, yeah, this looks cool, but I'm
But
only
I
playing
hate
this for
this.
one song.
fuck, I think that about Les Pauls.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have the shoulder strength to play these anymore. They just way too much. Actually, that's a good. What's your go-to live acts at the moment? I haven't seen you play in a couple years because of the whole damn pandemic thing.
I'm still using the Sir
okay.
guitar, SUHR, and then I actually I bought that guitar and because I went to a music store and I started playing it, and I went 2 hours later I was still playing it.
That's a good sign.
What's going on?
That's it.
So I bought it.
That's
and then-
love.
And then John Sirk called me and he goes, "Hey, I hear you're playing one of my guitars." And so then we invited him to come see us at I think it was the Whiskey, and he came with who's that guy? He came with a shredder guitar player, of course. So I'm up there playing his guitar. He's got some shredder with him.
Oh, you're a
But,
shredder too, though. I've seen you.
So then he's looking at my. I had a Strat up there. He goes, "Man, you got to get that Strat off the stage."
Oh.
And so he gave me a Strat style Sir. So that was really nice.
Okay. I was going to say, because I know that body shape. I've seen you play Strat style, like that
Yeah.
shape of guitar. But I didn't know
Yeah.
your thoughts on, we talked about you being the primary guitar player in the Tubes. It's hard to have single coil pickups if you're trying to carry all the weight of that, the rhythm and the solos.
Well, the one they gave me has a
Is it tapped?
humbucker in the bridge pickup.
Okay.
And these are cool. They have the two single coils, but there's some sort of a pickup inside the guitar that bucks the hum on those single coil pickups.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
strange.
You
Yeah.
have I am intrigued.
Yeah, you have our full attention.
Yes.
Oh, they're really great guitars. Expensive, but they're good. Yeah.
I was looking at one the other day. I play drums, but I always buy weird instruments when I come across them. But it's a guitar that's made completely out of like a metal sheet. But what that gives you is that the pickups are magnetic, so then you can move them anywhere.
Oh,
you
I
want
think
on
I've
the
seen
body.
that in a magazine.
Yeah, it's from I want to say they're from I want to say it's like a German company, or it's somewhere over in Europe.
They're
that
always
they
coming up with crazy shit.
But yeah, it's but man, like just the fact that you could
Yeah.
you can change, you could have it to where like like on a like a P bass, how it's separated or so
Offset.
yeah, like you can do that with that.
Oh, so you can like angle it diagonally or something to
you
get a
could-
little bit of
whatever. It's a magnet and it's on a metal
Yeah.
body. So however your imagination comes up to
Yeah.
moving that around,
places
yeah.
so that the
And that's what-
lower strings are nearer the
and that ability to like
neck and the higher near the bridge.
finagle with things and come up with different sounds is what drawed me to that.
But God, what if you're mid show and you bump it? What
They-
if you fuck up your settings?
They had a guy that had kind of like the body actions of like Tom Morello, kind of like that
Yeah.
strumming and stuff, and that guy was
He didn't knock it out of the
didn't-
park?
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't like they were just sliding all around stuff. But but me, Murphy's Law. So
No.
I'm sure
That's
jump
like-
up in the air, come down, and the pickups just like fall across the
I
stage.
couldn't imagine, having like a jazz master or something with all those buttons and knobs, and I would just fuck it up. I'd bump all the settings,
Oh, for sure.
I'd just dime everything out, put it all at full because I know I'm going to bump it.
when you're on the ground doing your little like kick spin solo
when you,
thing.
when you do a power slide, right?
So let me get a plug in here. I got a
please.
new
Yeah.
I got a new CD coming out. It's at Disc Makers now, and it's going to be out in like probably 10 days.
Nice.
No
So-
kidding. So what's
Watch for it and come to the Roger Steen Band .com website in about 2 weeks probably, and it'll be there.
So it's a release by Roger Steen Band. What's the album called, Roger?
It's called How the Story Goes.
Love it.
Love it.
And now, was this produced at home or in a studio
Yeah, well,
nearby?
it's-
Or
A studio, the same studio that I did my other solo one with,
Nice.
called Sound Tech. And I do a lot of the stuff here on guitar, but all the drums are recorded in 3 or 4 different studios, and the guitars were done mostly here, and I do a lot of slide guitar on the record too. So
oh, that's awesome. No, actually, that we were talking about that off air a little bit before. Is like good drums are the hardest to get, and almost everything else you can do at home now really well.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
plugins, and I mean you can get a good mic and some plugins, and your vocals, your bass, your guitar, and your keyboards are great.
well, I don't really do vocals here because this place I go has really good mics, and
Okay.
a guy that I get too close to it. I'm not objective enough, and I need somebody to go, no, I don't, try this,
Sure.
So
Not so much
It's
a
good.
producer, but like kind of like an assistant producer, somebody to.
yeah, somebody that might give me a suggestion to go, okay, get the tone up in your nose more, or
Right.
get it back, and don't push so hard there, or that kind of stuff.
No, you're that kind of
Stuff you notice after you listen to it about 10 times. You go, I don't.
Yeah, that input is golden because, like you said, you get too used to just being yourself and going for it, and
Yeah.
never hurts to
yeah.
have another opinion tell you, especially if it's somebody you trust. If it's an opinion you trust, so
Yeah, so Prairie recorded on I think 5 or 6 of the tunes, and
Excellent.
I have another drummer, and I have one song on there that has Mike Cotton playing synthesizer on it,
that's awesome.
and I have another song that I dug out from. I digitized a bunch of 24-track tapes a few years ago, and put them in files and put them on a hard drive, and I had a song that Vince and I wrote, Vince Welnick. So I dredged that up, and I got there's a song by Vince on there too. So
That's great.
yeah,
I'm excited. So that's
I got-
coming in a couple weeks,
yeah.
and you're gonna sell it from the website. Is it also gonna hit streaming?
I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it on the website, and I'm gonna bring it to gigs, and of course it'll be on iTunes and all the other things.
Sure.
But it'll probably be on the Tubes website too, I would think.
I hope that it is. That's excellent.
Now, are you gonna go what everyone's doing now? Is are you gonna release it on vinyl?
I don't. I'm. You know,
I mean, that's what everyone
that's a-
seems to be doing.
But vinyl's really
I know.
expensive.
Yeah, I know.
Vinyl's really expensive.
Yeah.
Is this? Are you working with any indie label, or is this your own label? Like, are
No,
you,
I just did it because I wanted to do it. And,
Well, that's good.
And, yeah, I know it's not going to make any money or make any difference anywhere, but I just want to do it and keep.
That's
There's
really,
a few people that want to hear it, so I just spreading the word here.
well, everybody in this room wants to hear it for sure.
definitely.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
loved
Cool.
your last record, and everybody who knows us personally, who listens to this show, they've heard the songs that you guested on for me over the years, and it's actually coming up. It's actually coming up on 10 years now since we worked on that song called "Falling Down."
happy anniversary.
Right.
So that was 2013, and that's kind of a nice full circle that we get to talk today about it, and just talk in general, because that's about to hit its 10th anniversary. And actually, the guys you're talking to were involved with that song. Ryan played,
Oh, really?
Ryan played bass on it,
Yes.
and Joseph wrote the drum parts. We were talking about, at that time, we could not record clean drums here. We had no good mics or studio. So I used a session guy from LA who heard our demo, heard Joe playing his electronic kit on the demo, and mimicked it pretty well. I mean, that's the final version. But he had a full Pro Tools studio in LA, and he sent me the tracks, kind of like you did. And I kind of just wove them all together here and made the final tune.
Well, that's how you hear a lot of pandemic albums were done that way.
Oh, yeah.
A ton of them came out around then.
I mean, God
Yeah.
bless that technology. I mean, sometimes just like working on things like that, it kept us sane. And like streaming and like going on Facebook Live and just trying to. We were busking for tips. We were doing all kinds of stuff. with
Pandemic thing really
Zoom
got
interviews.
got me to get off my butt and get my like kind of home studio thing
Yeah, we had a lot of
up and,
downtime.
up and down. Yeah, I did a bunch of projects. I re-brought up my art stuff. anything to kill time in your prison cell.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. You're right. It was
Yeah.
kind of like, it's what's going to keep me from going nuts?
I got one question. Speaking about vinyl records, okay, so Roger, for us in this current time stuff, like how if we want to go and do a vinyl record, it costs a fortune to do that. But you guys back then, that was kind of the norm and stuff. So was doing records cheaper back then? And have you noticed that like there definitely has been now this rise of like, why is vinyl so expensive when we used to be able to do it so cheap? Like I've never talked to anyone that got to do stuff from that
I
era.
don't really have any knowledge. I mean, we were always signed to a major record company, so
Oh, and they
you
just
know,
handle all
we
that figures.
yeah, they handle all that. We talked about, you know, we did press some completion backwards records to sell off our website, and you know, those people bought them up. It was amazing. I was surprised, and I've heard all kinds of stories about the expense, the war. So you can't get the vinyl, and
Oh, no, it's
Taylor
hard, man.
Taylor Swift bought up all the vinyl.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
right.
Yeah.
No, if you were an indie and making your own records, even if you were going to put your new album on vinyl, it's expensive because there's not many manufacturers left.
There's
where
not
you can
one
do it.
company that does it all. So your sleeve is from a different company. The record, the actual vinyl record is from somewhere else.
Yeah,
The stickers that
stamping.
go on that vinyl record is from another company, and that wax paper sleeve that vinyl goes into comes from a different company. And then if you want to use recycled products, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So you might as well just ruin the environment and go the cheaper route, which doesn't make any sense.
And then your camp has to actually assemble them all.
Yeah.
and,
Then that all shows up at your house by multiple trucks, and then you have to set up a whole assembly team and do it all. Yeah,
I think, Joe, to your point, I think in maybe the 70s and 80s, there just was more manufacturing.
Yeah,
plants.
there was. Yeah,
and then in the 90s, it would have been CDs, like you mentioned, disc makers, Roger.
Yeah, yeah.
If that supply and demand, maybe like if they're easily to make, it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And now that everything went digital and people aren't collecting things like they used to. With the exception of people are collecting vinyl, but there just is no manufacturing companies.
It's
Like
there's Jack Black, not Jack Black, Jack White. Excuse
The other
me,
one.
Jack White. Yeah, the other one. He has a whole thing that's
Nashville.
that thing that's going up, and there's another one over in Texas or so.
I think Bob
there's,
Marley's family bought a bunch of it too. The Marley
There's a pressing
estate.
Yes, there's a pressing in Jamaica that too, and I
Yeah.
think there's like three other manufacturer places in Texas that do it, and
But it'll take you 6 months. I did a 7-inch single a couple years ago, and it took like 6 to 8 months to get it back.
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
took
yeah.
so friggin' long. By the time it came, I didn't even know how to promote it because it
problem-
almost was over.
The problem with that too is how vinyl has become back in demand again. Because I'm a vinyl head. I'll buy Roger. If I come to your show and you have a vinyl record, I will buy it. That's guaranteed.
It is. I'm telling you,
It's
Roger.
guaranteed.
It's
Well,
in fashion.
And it's not only you. That's any band. If I come to your show and you have a vinyl record, I will buy it because
He collects
I'm
them.
that guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's when I was when I was thinking about doing this CD, I was thinking, well, nobody has CD players anymore.
You're right.
You know, and they don't. You want to sell them the songs, but they don't. They want to have something. You give them a little piece of paper with a download number on it. They don't. That doesn't do anybody. I tried that with the first record as we were in Europe, and I thought, okay, this is going to be really slick. I'll just give them these download numbers. They can purchase those.
Right.
But no, our audience is too old.
Well, even yeah. I was
They
gonna say,
they want to have something when they buy it, right? So they want to have something to look at, some artwork and some.
yeah, you want to. I'm like that.
But
Physical.
you can't buy a car with a CD player in it anymore.
You're right, or a computer half the time. Even laptops don't.
No.
They don't have the disk
I
drive
just-
anymore. So
Right, I
I
know.
just started
I
running
just
into
bought
that looking
one.
at computers.
my kids are in their teens, and I mentioned burning a CD, and they were like, "What the fuck is that?" Like it's just and I thought, oh my god, when I was in the first band that I was in high school that got serious and went to a studio and really spent money making a recording, burnable CDs were almost coming to the forefront. Like you couldn't buy a spindle of CDs. Like they were individually wrapped. They were $20 a piece. Like it was such new technology. So we all left the studio with a burned copy of our album. We felt like kings. We're like, I have a CD. I can't make copies of this, but and then you could buy spindles of blank CDs. And now we're at the end of that where it's like, man, I lived through the whole thing. It's gone. It's like time traveling. It's like I watched the birth of the universe and the death of it, and I'm still around.
I remember back,
What's next?
back at that time, if you just wanted to download like one song, it took like 3 days.
It took, I kind of miss that. I don't
for
miss
that
doing it.
anticipation?
No, I don't miss doing it. I miss the fact that even as an indie band, Roger, we used to, same kind of thing. We'd go out and just play. We'd do our shows, and if you got 50 people there that thought you were all right, you'd be like, oh, the merch booth might actually sell something tonight. Like,
Yeah.
boys, we're going to Denny's after this show. Like, I think we're on to something here. But, well, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time, Roger.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Well, it was great talking to
Yeah,
you, Roger.
it was fun, guys. I enjoyed it.
Thank you
very
so much. And that's, is it rogersteenband.com for the new album in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
And the tube.com?
Roger Steen by itself is taken by a photographer up north. So I've gone with Roger Steen Band for a while, so I'm just going to stay with that, even though the band is kind of broken up right now.
That's all right. Well, it still works. It's still a good place to find you guys. I had the same problem with my name. ScottParis.com is taken by some kid that does a blog. So I had to do ScottParisMusic.com. I feel you.
And I know 3 guys in Ohio that'd be willing to jam with you anytime, man.
Oh yeah, anytime you want to come
cool.
through, and when the Tubes are touring or when you're touring,
Yeah, I mean, you almost got a full setup. You got a
I was gonna
extra
say,
guitar player, bass player, drummer.
well, we'll back you up.
Oh,
I know the Tangiers got bought by LeBron James and turned into some kind of other event center, but I hope
That's what happened.
I
to
hope
it.
you guys can find
Boo.
some place in northeastern Ohio to see us again, to play.
yeah,
again.
we were like the last band in there.
I remember
think.
they let you guys do the show even though it had already changed hands, because I have friends that work at that venue, or they were part of that, and and they were stoked that you guys got to come through and do that. And ironically, I didn't get to see you because we were right down the street at a club called the Musica, so we were not competing, but we were playing the same time at the same night. And I remember telling Jasmine, like, man, I wish I could go see the Tubes. Like, I wish my set was over. I want to go see the Tubes play.
They're right over
Well,
there.
They're right there. They're down the street. God
don't
damn
hear
it. They're right there. But
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
thank you so much, man.
All right,
I
Roger.
appreciate you.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was cool.
Hell yeah.
2 hands.
great.
Bye.
What a great guy.
Man, that was a good interview.
All right. Well,
Wow.
we went our hour, so
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to say we'll cut it for now, and we will do this again because we have a show coming up soon at the Dandelion Festival,
May
6th.
6th.
The 107th
4 p.m.
annual Cookies at the Dandelion Festival.
We've been there,
figure out
we've
how
been there
many
for
damn
every one
years.
of them. Yep.
Yeah, we're 107 years old this year, and we have big plans.
Big plans.
You don't even know. You don't even know. It's going to be so
We
big.
might have outdone ourselves this year.
Man, I don't know. They say the sky's the limit and space is the place, I guess. So
I'm just saying,
Pure madness, and only the cream will rise to the top.
a cup of coffee in the big time. So we will see you again. We love y'all. We're the Imaginary Cookies. This was 99 Stories, and this is one.
Oh yeah. Update: Baker has a white hair on his balls. It's finally happened.
confirmed.